Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jed Lee. This is Reading with Your Kids. Welcome, so great to see you. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville, located in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so very honored and absolutely delighted that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to be writing books for kids of all ages. You can help us by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can find us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, CastBox, Ghana, Player FM, Boomplay, wherever you find your favorite shows. Four amazing guests for you today. First up, Julia Paschkiss and Janet Lord will be here to celebrate Crick Crack Crow. A little bit later on, John Krause will be here to celebrate Pudge, Amazon, and the Ugly Ostrich. And later in the show, Paula Banks will be here to celebrate Dream Big, Peyton's Hip Hop Adventure. Hey there, families! Are you looking for an exciting way to bond and learn together? Look no further than our STEM is Family Fun video series. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of STEM through hands-on activities right in your own home. Our series features lessons from experts at renowned institutions like the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum, the National Children's Museum in Washington, D.C., and Children's Museum Houston. From making homemade rainbow bridges to creating an oboe out of a straw, there's something for everyone in the family to enjoy. So grab your lab coats and get ready for an adventure. Go to readingwithyourkids.com and click on the STEM is Family Fun link at the top of the page and let the learning and laughter begin. STEM is Family Fun, where learning and bonding go hand in hand. My friends, we are in for a treat. We are celebrating a beautiful picture book. It's called Crick Crack Crow. And we have the author and illustrator with us. They're sisters. First, coming to us from right outside of Philadelphia, the author, Janet Lord. Hey, Janet, how are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. I can't wait to talk about your beautiful book. And joining us from Seattle is Janet's sister, Julie Paschkiss. Julie, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having us on, Jed. It's a treat.
I am delighted to have you on. Julie is the illustrator. And Julie, just to give you a hint, those of you who haven't discovered our Drawing with Your Kids YouTube channel, you absolutely have to check it out. Julie is teaching us how to draw a crow, and it's a beautiful video. You and your kids are going to have a great time learning how to draw the crow. Janet, tell us a little bit about Crick Crack Crow, please.
Well, Crick Crack Crow is a very mischievous crow. He lives high in a tree and he heads out one day, and it's basically one day in the life of this crow getting into various kinds of mischief and trouble, and he's always kind of getting into a little more trouble and a little more trouble until he gets into too much trouble, and then he has to figure out sort of how to get out of it. Now, and he does what crows do.
I have heard that crows are very intelligent and also very mischievous.
They are both of those things. They get into all kinds of mischief. They're very, very smart, and they like to hide things. Like they will find things and hide it from each other, but they will. The other crows will be watching where they hide it. So then the other crows will pretend they're not really looking. I mean, they have all these great mechanisms for playing tricks, and they like to have fun. They're curious.
Wow. And now, one of the things, Julie, that you said in the video that we'll be sharing soon with the kids and families is that you really enjoy drawing crows, that it's fun and kind of easy. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, for one thing, they're everywhere. Every time I step out of my house, I see a crow. And so I've always noticed them, but now when I worked on the book, I paid special attention because I wanted to make sure I captured the way they move. And they're so interesting because they're completely black, so they almost look like a silhouette, but it's never static. They're moving all around. Their wings are going up and down. Their heads are moving. They have a way that they sort of hop, walk, and the way when they fly, you can see their wings, the little feathers spread out on the tips of their wings. So they're just interesting to look at, and I tried to capture that in the drawings.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Some people might be listening to this and say, it's a picture book. How can you depict a movement in a static picture?
Well, you can't really, because it is static, but you can get the feeling of motion and movement.
Yeah. And
also the crow is in a different position in every different page. Mm-hmm. So there's a range of crow positions and crow postures. Another thing that's been fun about looking at the crows, I stop and look at them as I'm walking around my neighborhood. So many people have buttonholed me to tell me their crow stories. Like people have crows that come to visit them. One friend has a crow. She's named Crowella, and Crowella visited her for so many years and then came back with her baby crows who are now friends with her. And another man in our neighborhood was feeding the crows, and I stopped to talk to him, and I said, "Do you always feed crows?" He goes, "I always feed these crows." He goes, "I recognize them, and they recognize me. These aren't just any crows. These are my crows."
Wow.
So there's many, many people have these really neat connections with crows.
Yeah. Now, Janet, did you have that same kind of connection, and was that what inspired this book?
I've always loved crows. They're just so wild and interesting. And they're loud, and we lived in the woods growing up, and there was these big hickory trees around us, and the crows would congregate up in the top of the trees and caw in large numbers, and it was pretty awe-inspiring, you know, when you get a bunch of crows together. They're big birds, and they make a lot of noise.
They are big birds. We had one when I was growing up that was always in the top of the tree, and you hear them every morning. You know, that's what I woke up to. But it was always way up at the top of the tree, and you know, it wasn't until later in life that I encountered one a little bit closer and realized, wow, this is kind of like a dinosaur here.
I was just reading that they're like 17 inches long, and when you consider a little songbird, 17 inches is a big bird.
Yeah. So when you decided to create this book, was it something that was intentional? You sit down, I want to write about crows, and what can I do? Or was it just like, boom, I had this idea, let me get on it and write the book?
A little bit of both, I would say. I've always sort of wanted to write a story about crows because I love crows, and I was thinking at one point about maybe calling them a book called Bandit Birds because they're so mischievous and they're kind of the wild ones. But actually, you know, I thought of this story and it just kind of came to me. Like when I said, I think I was sitting down to write and I said, well, Crick Crack Crow, ready to go. And I sat down and that just was like a light bulb. And it sort of was the beginning of playing around with the words and the story.
Yeah. And Julie, when you first heard that you were going to be working with Janet on this book, did you kind of start picturing the crows in your mind right away and start experimenting with sketches, and then you got the manuscript and put both together?
Well, I have I paint paintings as well as illustrate books, and a lot of my paintings have crows in them. I'm sitting in my dining room right now, and there's a dresser that I painted 40 years ago, and it has a picture of a crow on one of the drawers. So I've had crows in my art for a really long time. So drawing crows in general was not a new thing, but it just a very my friends the crows. So I was very excited to do a whole book about them. And then when I read Janet's manuscript and thought about how I wanted to approach it, I like to sort of stretch myself with each book. And so this one, I did all of the illustrations using a dip pen and paint and did lots of cross-hatching and sort of little details. And my vision for the way the art would look was a very flat, graphic crow, simple, and then lots of little tiny fun details around it. So there'd be things for your eyes to explore on the page. So for like and so the idea for doing the art came out of after having read her manuscript.
Neat.
How to approach the crow.
Now, one of the things I discovered, and I was really surprised when I started doing the podcast, was that it's very unusual with a traditionally published book to have an author and an illustrator actively collaborating and speaking to each other. We've had a couple of teams that have done that. But for the most part, it's like, no, you talk to your editor and you talk to the art director and never and we've actually had illustrators and authors meet each other for the first time on the podcast, which is really neat. But this is absolutely the first time I've had siblings who collaborated as author and illustrator on a book. Being siblings, did that help with the process, or did it hinder it in any way?
I think it helped. I feel like we're from the same nest and we think about things similarly. And, I mean, like Julie would do something and say, oh, I love it, and I would come up with a word and she would, I just think we work well together, when we're on this creative journey, and it just comes out really, it's exciting. It's fun.
Yeah.
And I know it's unusual and I feel really lucky.
Yeah. And Julie, was there any pushback from the publisher, or do you guys just say, hey, look, we're doing it. Don't even bring it up?
Well, we presented the project together. We submitted it as a joint submission. So it wasn't like either of us submitted it separately and then searched for the other half. And I think that what Jannie said is true. We have similar tastes and point of view. Her words just seem just right to me. And I feel like our aesthetic sense and our the way we approach things is really similar. So it really felt really good to collaborate. Yeah. And it also seems especially suitable for crows. And in this story, that when our little hero gets into trouble, he's rescued by his siblings and his cousins and all of his crow family. So it sort of echoes the way we help each other out.
That's awesome. Janet, one of the things I love asking authors and illustrators is, what kind of conversations do you think families can have as they're experiencing Crick Crack Crow?
I think that sometimes children bite off a little more than they can chew, and that they can always call for assistance, that a family person, even if it's a brother or sister that you squabble with sometimes, I mean, a family is there to help each other, and certainly it's true with crows. I mean, most birds, after they leave a nest, they're only there for a very short while. And there's a robin in my mother's outside of her door that I looked it up, and they will leave the nest in, maybe 14 or 15 days, whereas crows stay in the same family network for years and years. And when they do move away, they don't move far. Mm-hmm. And they help take care of the other newer birds that are hatched. And they're definitely a family dynamic going on with the crow.
That's really, it really is fascinating. Like I said, it wasn't until I had another author on that I learned of the intelligence of crows.
I have read some places that they have the intelligence in solving problems of very young children. They're compared to chimpanzees and very smart animals in the primate world. So they can figure out complex tasks and much more than other animals.
Yeah.
Well, just birds.
I was going to say that they have the family dynamic, but they also have the community dynamic. They will, north of Seattle at the University of Washington Northern Campus. There's something like 15,000 crows that fly up there every night from all the different neighborhoods, and they all roost at the UW campus up there. So I think one thing that families could talk about is, like, we all support each other as families, but even bigger than that, we support each other as communities, that crows work together beyond their siblings, but like all the crows, they have these big communities that stay together for years, and it's pretty incredible when you see them all together.
You know, I think another conversation families can have is don't go to University of Washington because there's a bazillion crows out there and you're going to drive you crazy.
Do go to UW. It's a great school.
Okay. You know, I was thinking, too, that this seems like a great book to inspire families to get outside together. You know, and after you're reading Crick Crack Crow, it's like, yes, okay, this is a great story, and we're talking about family and community and supporting each other. Now let's get outside and see if we can spot any crows and see if we can spot any of that behavior.
I have seen a crow every single day since I wrote the book, and it's been, over a year. And I see them every day where I'm driving, and I have a little rhyme, an old nursery rhyme that I say when I'm counting crows. And it's like one for sorrow, 2 for mirth, 3 for wedding, 4 for birth, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a wish that can't be told, I think. It goes on. But it's I've gotten up to 10, and that's where the rhyme ends for me. And I've very rarely have I gotten all the way up to 10 when I'm counting crows, but I did the other day.
Oh, cool. And what do you get for the 10?
See, 10 for a crow you can't, it's 8 for a wish, 9 for a kiss, 10 for a crow you cannot miss. Awesome. Tell me, Julie, do you have plans on working on a book in the near future together?
Well, we don't have another one in the pipeline now. I think we did our first one. How many years ago was that? It was in the 90s, like a long time ago. So our books, we've sort of done them throughout the years, and it's Janet has another job. Sorry, I'm her sister. I get to call her Janet, even though her name is Janet. She has another job. I also paint, and I've written some books myself and illustrated some books. So it's not like our only project is working together. It's just this occasional joy that connects us through the years. And I don't know when or if we'll do another one, but I hope we will. And I don't know what it will be.
Got to wait for the spark to ignite.
All right. Yes. All right. Well, we'll see if some kids go to the Drawing with Your Kids lesson, draw some crows, and maybe one of those illustrations will spark an idea.
That would be great.
You never know what will.
Well, we should let everybody know where they can go to find out more about Crick Crack Crow and also more about both of you. So, Janet, first, where can people go to find out more about you?
I guess they could go, there's a little bit on Amazon, or at the bookstores, where the books are on the flaps. I don't have a web page, if you're asking that.
I was, and that's cool. That makes you unique amongst authors.
I know. Well, I write books every few years. Julie is doing this all the time. I actually, work full time at another job, and so that's really where a lot of my energy goes.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure if people check out Julie's website and they have any more questions, they could probably ask her. So, Julie, where can they go to find out more about you?
They can go to juliepaschkiss.com, and I'd like to plug a particular aspect of my website, which is I have a page on my website that has coloring pages that people can download for free. And I started during COVID lockdown as a way to connect with kids and for teachers to give them to their students when they couldn't go to school. and I posted over 500 pages now. So there's a whole trove of images that families or children could download and draw, because I want everyone to draw. And a lot of the pages are just to color in, but a lot of them just offer cues for you to invent your own drawing too.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of Crick Crack Crow. Our guests have been Janet Lord and Julie Paschkiss. Thank you, my friends. It's been great to have you on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Are you looking for a creative way to bond with your kids? Let me tell you all about Drawing with Your Kids, the ultimate destination for artistic adventures. Join us as we dive into the wonderful world of children's books with renowned illustrators guiding you step by step. From beloved characters to whimsical scenes, unleash your imagination and create cherished memories together. Whether you're a seasoned artist or just picking up a pencil, there's something for everyone at Drawing with Your Kids. Please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com, and click on the Drawing with Your Kids link at the top of the page and let the creativity flow. Drawing with Your Kids, where every stroke brings stories to life. Join us right now from the great state of Wisconsin. Our guest is here today to celebrate his middle grade series. This first book is called Pudge Amazon and the Ugly Ostrich. Please welcome to the show the definitely not ugly John Krause. Hey, John, how are you?
Good, Jed. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. And congratulations to the Boston Celtics for winning the NBA championship. Right? I assume you're a Boston sports fan, right?
Indeed, I am. It was wonderful to see. I grew up in the era where the Celtics won 13 out of 15 championships and definitely experienced the Larry Bird era, and that was wonderful. And this current crop of Celtics players are really impressive on and off the court. So I was very, very happy for them.
So you've been spoiled.
Yes, Boston fans have. I'm growing up. The Red Sox and the Patriots weren't so great, and that whole curse, the Babe Ruth curse on the Red Sox. But if there was a curse, we've kind of gotten over it now. So
yeah,
right. We've been spoiled.
Yeah, and congratulations too on 2,000 episodes. I just saw that just came out a couple days ago. So
thank you.
Hit that milestone. That's great.
It was. This has been. It's been a real pleasure meeting authors like you and talking about great middle grade series and other books. I like I was saying about being a Boston sports fan, I feel really blessed to have and I truly believe this was heaven sent. I was directed to do this by a higher power, and I always try to listen, but don't always.
Well, you've had great success, so.
Well, tell us all about Pudge Amazon and this ugly ostrich.
Sure. Well, the name is an interesting story there. So many years ago, when my kids were young, and it was time for bed, I would say, "All right, kids, it's time for bed. Get your pajamas on." Pudge Amazon. Pudge Amazon. That would make a great name for a character in a story. Well, I had that name in my head for just many, many years, and way back in my mind, I always thought it'd be fun to write a book, or I'd taken a couple of writing courses, perhaps writing for children's magazines, short stories or nonfiction articles, but just life and my career just didn't allow for that for many years. But during COVID, January of 2021, my family and I, we were making some goals for the year. What are our New Year's resolutions? And I thought, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write this book about Pudge Amazon, this name that's been in my head for a long time. I was just in the right headspace, emotional space to be able to do that. So I sat down on my computer, and it's all these ideas just came flowing out. Who Pudge is, his character profile, his friends, where just the setting, different plot ideas that I had, just everything just really came flowing out. And so then I just started writing it, and I don't know quite where the idea came from of this particular plot, but Pudge he's a bit of a troublemaker. He's very spontaneous. He's isn't always good at doing his chores or his homework, but he's a really good kid with a great heart. And because he's a little bit of a prankster, a little bit of a troublemaker, he's accused of damaging the statue of the school mascot, which is an ostrich. And, you know, some elementary schools are the bears or the lions. Well, at his school, they're the ostriches. Well, he claims he didn't do it. So the plot of the book is him going around the neighborhood and looking for clues and suspects and trying to find who actually damaged the statue and clearing his name. And along the way, he learns some important life lessons about what kind of person he wants to be, what kind of person he wants to be seen as, because he doesn't want to be seen as a petty criminal by his mother or the townsfolk or his principal or even his best friend. So he wants to. So there is a lesson there about kind of self-identity, and this is the first book in a series. I have 2 other books of Pudge Adventures, and so this is the first book in the series where Pudge is just kind of being himself, and he gets into scrapes, and we learn how he, with the help of his friends and his resourcefulness, how he gets out of those scrapes. So they're targeted for ages 8 to 11, and they're just quick reads, very fun, fast-paced, and I think kids of that age will enjoy them.
Sounds like Pudge sounds like a lot of guys I grew up with.
Yeah, well, it's the opposite of me. I'm very careful and cautious and calculating and introverted, and Pudge is the exact opposite of all that. So yes, he is my alter ego.
I was wondering are you living vicariously through Pudge?
Yeah, I think so. I think all the stuff that I maybe I wanted to do, or maybe the kid more I wanted to be when I was that age, is what I'm writing him as. So Pudge's best friend, his name is Rocky, and Rocky is the exact opposite of Pudge. I did extensive character profiles for these 2. Even did a Myers-Briggs analysis for all my characters, my main characters, and Rocky, who's Pudge's best friend, he is the exact opposite in personality and characteristics and all that. And so Rocky is more like me, just the shy, introverted, very cautious person. So this and that's what makes the books fun too, because they play off each other a lot. And that's where through their dialogue, and that's where some of the conflict and tension comes, because they both, even though they're best friends and they love each other deeply and they care about each other deeply, they still get into arguments as kids do. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I wonder, I think we spoke about this not too long ago with an author. I think, sometimes we talk about, what an odd pairing. These kids are so different. I don't understand how they're friends, how they can even, be with each other because they seem like polar opposites. And I think a lot of times it's not intentional, but a lot of times I think kids are attracted to somebody that's very different than them because it fills something that they don't have in their own life.
Well, and that's the way it was for me too. I mean, I was attracted to like the Pudge types who were very talkative and had a large friend group already that I could just absorb into, that I didn't have to go out and make my own friend group, that I could just kind of tag along with somebody who already had that large social following already. The friends who were adventurous and would take me out on adventures. So yeah, I definitely see, it's right what you know. Well, this is what I know. This is how I grew up. And so now I'm putting that into my characters.
Yeah. What is it about this age group that that you love? Why do you love writing for this age group?
Well, for for the middle grade age group, and even younger a little bit, what I really enjoy about it in writing for it also reading books that are written for that age group is I really think within certain boundaries, an author can do really anything. So one of my favorite stories of all time is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. Right? Well, that is a book that is written for kids, even though I still love it as a middle-aged man. But the story only works because it's kids who are going through the chocolate factory and getting into trouble into the chocolate factory. If it was adults who won the golden tickets and were going on the tour of the chocolate factory, it just wouldn't work. Mm-hmm. Right? So another one of my favorite my all-time favorite book is The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. And this is a young kid, Milo, who life is just dreary and nothing is interesting to him. And he goes home, and in his bedroom one day is a little car and a toll booth. And so he gets in and it's like, well, all right, let's see what this does. And he's thrust into this magic land of words and numbers. And I'm a big word nerd and a math geek, so that's why I love the adventure too. And he goes on this wild adventure, and he comes back home and realizes that life is just much more wonderful and much more interesting than he thought possible. So now, of course, if that was an adult going on an adventure like that, it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't be that story. So having that sense of wonder as kids are growing up at that age, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, they're trying to find their place in the world, making friendships that hopefully will last a lifetime. There's just that wonder, that sense of adventure that you can build into books that really only works for that age group. And that's why I love it so much.
Yeah. What kind of conversations do you think families can have if they're co-reading Pudge, Amazon, and the Ugly Ostrich together?
So I do build in themes of friendship, of problem solving. And so those are certainly some things that families could talk about. So if you're reading Pudge, Amazon, and the Ugly Ostrich with your kids, Pudge has to, during his dark night of the soul moment, he has to realize, well, how do I want to be viewed? People, my best friend even, my mother, my principal, people in the town, they just see me as this troublemaker and this kid who just causing trouble for trouble's sake. And he has to come to realize, is that how I want to be seen? How do I want to be looked at? What kind of person do I want to be? What kind of friend do I want to be to people? And so I think that's a good conversation that parents could have with their kids at that age, of because it's an important time of life. Some of the habits and lessons that kids learn at this age, those are the ones that are going to carry through with them through their teenage years and into their young adult years, and that's what's going to kind of solidify what kind of person they're going to be. So that's certainly one lesson that kids can hopefully take away, and parents can talk to them about as they read the book together.
Yeah, I think that is an important conversation. About, and getting kids to think, who am I and who do I want to be? And how do I want people to perceive me? Kind of a deep subject, but I don't think it's too deep for kids in that age range just to start talking about. And I think it's because they're already thinking about it on social media, because they have so many influences giving them messages that they're not enough and that they should look this way or wear this thing or and we are, as parents, we are our kids' first and most important teachers. And I think these are some things that we should definitely talk to our kids about, because others are talking about it with them.
Yeah, definitely. Kids are at an impressionable age, for good or bad. And I certainly want to be on the side of making good impressions for kids through my stories.
Yeah. Tell us what other kind of adventures do you anticipate Pudge getting into in the rest of the series?
Well, let me talk about the other two books that are published, and then I can mention just a bit of some other ideas I have to finish out the series.
Sure.
So the second book in the series is called Pudge, Amazon, and the Death Spiral. So here, Pudge and his friends, the ones that we meet in the first book, The Ugly Ostrich, they go to the town carnival. Now, his best friend, Rocky, who I'd mentioned earlier, he has a bit of a crush on a girl named Jenny. So it's a group of 4. They're at the town carnival. And the only thing Pudge wants to do is ride the Death Spiral. It's the scariest ride in the world. It's at the town carnival. He's a thrill seeker. So that's, again, a little bit of me coming through because I'm a roller coaster junkie. Well, Jenny, who is this girl that Rocky has a crush on and is part of the group here, she and Pudge have the same type of personality, just very strong, dominant personalities. And they are at each other's throats all night while they're trying to do rides, while they're trying to play games at the carnival. And they just can't stand each other. So Pudge is like, oh, why can't Jenny just go away so I can have fun with my friends? Well, Pudge gets what he wishes for. Jenny goes missing. And so the story is Pudge and his other 2 best friends, they follow some clues that lead them into the nearby dark forest where they have some adventures in rescuing Jenny. And this is, so it's a fun story. It's a little bit creepy, or on the creepy side, if you like that, being in the dark forest. But it also does have a lesson there of Pudge learning that, hey, the world does not revolve around him. And there are things more important in life than riding the roller coaster, such as the safety and well-being of his friends. So there is a little bit of a life lesson that he learns there. And then in the third book, it's called Pudge, Amazon, and the Unfair Science Fair. So in this story, it starts out with Pudge he's put in the time and he has the absolute best science fair project at the school science fair. And he knows he's going to win. And as the trophies are announced, he's waiting for his name to get called first prize. Well, first prize goes to his arch nemesis. And Pudge doesn't place at all. And he's just devastated and confused. Well, he learns from the principal that that he was disqualified because he didn't turn his application in on time. The application for the science fair. And Pudge is just adamant. It's like, no, I did. I absolutely did turn it in on time. So that kicks off another mystery story of, all right, who sabotaged Pudge's science fair project to prevent him from winning first place? Well, again, that's the plot, the external narrative of the story. But the internal story is that Pudge meets some other folks, some other friends in his age group, in his class, and Pudge really is so obsessed with finding the truth that he starts to alienate his 2 best friends, right? The ones that we meet in the first couple of books. And so this is a story, yes, it's about Pudge trying to, again, find out this mystery, who stole his science fair application, but it's really about Pudge learning what does it mean to be a true friend, and what does it mean to have a true friend, right? It's more than just playing video games and playing basketball together, riding bikes together. There's something deeper than that of what it means to have and be a loyal friend. And so there is another bit of a life lesson there that Pudge learns as well. But again, all 3 of these stories, they're very short. They can be read in just a few short hours, and they're funny and very fast paced, and hopefully kids will enjoy reading them or hearing them read to them. But hopefully they'll take away something a little bit after they finish the books.
Awesome. And you were saying there are a couple of books. Are there going to be a total of 5 in the series?
6. I have 6 books that I have planned out. So the next one that I'm still in the very early works with is I'm going to take Pudge outside of his normal neighborhood, and his mother wins a cruise, Caribbean cruise, and so I'm putting him in a new world for him where he's on this big cruise ship, and his grandparents are with him, and his grandmother's heirloom priceless diamond pendant gets stolen. And so that kicks off a story of him within this confines of a cruise ship, and a week or so that they're on this boat to track down the thief and find who stole the diamond pendant. So it's another mystery story. Pudge will meet some new friends on this cruise ship, and so be introduced to some new characters. And then I do have plans for six stories total. But I only have one more that's really fleshed out. At least, well, it's not fleshed out really. It's just an idea of the last story in the book, the series will have Pudge and his friends going to summer camp. So it'll be the end of the school year, and they go to summer camp. I don't know quite what's going to happen there, but there's plenty of fun misadventures that can happen with kids at summer camp. So
absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this is great. It sounds like a great series for young kids and their parents to kind of sit down and have lots of conversations. I imagine, too, just having a conversation about, Mom, Dad, what was it like when you were a kid? Was there someone like Pudge in your friend group? Or were you like Pudge?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kids will be kids, and I'm sure as parents read these stories, hopefully they'll find a little bit of themselves or kids that they knew in some of these characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Pudge Amazon and more about John Krause.
Sure. So you go to my website, www.johnkrausebooks.com. That's JOHNKRAUSE books with an S, plural.com. And check it out there. I do have a free short story of Pudge Amazon. That's just a quick read if you want to get a taste, flavor of what Pudge is like and what my writing style is like. Head over to my website there and download that free short story. And and then you can check out some of the more information that's on my website there.
Awesome. We've had a great time speaking to the author of Pudge Amazon and The Ugly Ostrich, a great middle grade series, from our guest, John Krause. John, thanks for being with us.
Yeah. Thanks, Jed. It's been a pleasure. And here's to another 2,000 episodes for you.
Amen. Before we invite our guest into the studio, I would love to invite you to visit a very special website. It's clownswithoutborders.org. Clownswithoutborders.org. This is a group that I absolutely adore. I am part of Clowns Without Borders, and I had the honor of being part of the 2023 tour of El Salvador. I had so much fun joining with artists from all over the world to bring a smile to people who really needed it and really appreciated it too. And we would love for you to join us as a monthly Joy Maker. Joy Makers, they're a family of people just like you who love to laugh and make other people feel good. So please take a moment and visit clownswithoutborders.org and consider joining me as a Joy Maker. Join us right now from the beautiful city of Norfolk in Virginia. Our guest is here today to celebrate her new picture book. It's called Dream Big, Peyton's Hip Hop Adventure. Please welcome to the show, Paula Banks. Hey, Paula, how are you?
I'm good, and you? Thank you so much for having me on the show.
I'm delighted to have you on this show. Tell me all about Peyton. Who is this character?
Peyton is an 8-year-old girl. She's African-American little girl, and she is loving to get into different adventures. She is basically a reflection of me when I was a little girl, and she's doing all the things that I never had the confidence to do. So this has been a pleasure for me to write for her and kind of like live out my childhood dreams as well. But yeah, she is a firecracker. She loves adventures, and she's going to do whatever she wants to do no matter what.
That is such a kind of a neat thing for you to be able to go back and to kind of take two on your childhood.
Yes, there was a lot of things I didn't do. I just didn't feel confident sometimes because I was, always the bigger child. So I kind of let that get into the way of me wanting to do things. So this is, yes, my take too. So Peyton, I'm going to live a little bit through Peyton.
Yeah. As you look back and as you say, oh, I didn't feel confident because of who I was, and was that you kind of putting those limitations on what you could do? Was it the kids and the adults in your life were saying you can't do that, or a combination of both?
Combination of both. I think it was more like kids in school. You know, I don't want to say bullied about my weight, but I mean, it was joked upon sometimes. So, again, I was always the bigger kid in class, the tallest, the biggest. So, I mean, you know, I didn't want to bring too much attention to myself. So I kind of like just played in the background. So I didn't do a lot of things that I wanted to do. Like in the book, Peyton does a talent show. You know, she does her own hip hop song. That's something I would never do, but I would have wanted to do that if I had the confidence. So, but yeah, I think it was a lot of just, with the kids, when I was growing up, just, you know, people making fun, making jokes. So instead of trying to bring attention to myself, I kind of like just downplayed myself. So I didn't get, you know, any jokes about me.
Yeah. I'm really sorry that happened to you. How did it contribute to who you are today?
It took a long time for me to get to the place that I am now. I guess kind of with age and just going through things in life. But I've learned that regardless of how I look or what size I am or anything, that I can do the things that I want to do. If I'm physically capable of doing them, if I love to do certain things, then I can do that. I do regret letting people's own insecurities put them on me, and then I in turn didn't do the things that I wanted to do. So yeah, I'm an advocate now just to do what you want, follow your dreams. And it just really showed me that I never wanted to regret anything. And that's why I started to write such late in life, but despite, you know, just life happening as I got older, but I didn't want to not fulfill a dream. Yeah. And that's how I'm here today. But I don't ever let anyone, make you feel that you can't do anything. I've learned that lesson late in life, but I finally learned it.
It's interesting that you're able to recognize that a lot of the teasing and making fun of you came from their insecurities, as opposed to just thinking that they hate me. They're whatever word you want to use. It's more like, oh no, they don't feel good about themselves.
And at the time, I didn't realize it, but as I look back, and you know, again, just growing up in knowledge, it had nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. It was totally about something that maybe they felt bad about themselves about, and they felt like, well, I'm going to make her feel bad about something that is sensitive to her. Mm. So yeah, I know it's really not about me. I don't think they hated me. I just think that they were going through whatever they were going through, and they wanted to make someone else feel the same way.
Yeah. How do you think we could help our kids, if there's a parent out there listening to this and their kid is experiencing their you know, the shortest one in their class, the tallest one in their class, it's like whatever it is, if you're the outlier, people are going to notice you, and a good chance they're going to make jokes about that. How could a parent whose kid is experiencing that help their kids understand that, no, you know what, it's not about you, it's about them and how they're feeling about themselves?
I would say just to always continue to like reinforce that there's nothing wrong with them, that whatever, how they are perfect, they're fine, regardless of, like you said, their height, their size, their shape, whatever. And you just have to continuously to speak to your kids about that there's people out here that don't know how to, I guess, talk about their feelings, or, everybody goes through things, and in order for them to feel good, they might be taking it out on them. I can't say don't take it personal, because as a kid, we take things personally. We're not always can have that sense of like, okay, it's not about me. Right. But I just say continuously speak to your kids to let them know that this person doesn't hate you or dislike you. It's just something that they're going through. And this is a way for them to deal with it. Yeah. Again, it's pretty much saying don't take it personal, but at least they will have a perspective as to, okay, it's not really about me, it's about them. And it's easier to let something go or not get so upset about it when you realize, like, this has nothing to do with me, they're just lashing out, then rather than think that somebody really dislikes you or hates you or, or just trying to intentionally, like, hurt you. So yeah, I just say conversations just have to continuously be had.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, what other adventures will Peyton be going on in this book?
Well, for Peyton, her first adventure was going to a new school. She moved and she was worried about meeting new friends. That was Peyton's first day at a new school. So that was my very first book. And I released it in February. And I didn't know what I was doing. So that was just my first book. And I wanted to kind of right all my wrongs, or at least some of my wrongs that I did in the first book. So the next book after the hip hop, Peyton's Big Adventures, she will, I have a Christmas book coming. So we'll have a Christmas adventure. And then I have one more that's, ready to go, and it's about anxiety. So it's called Peyton and Her Magical Pup Wizard. I suffer with anxiety. And I feel like a lot of kids have anxiety, but they really don't understand what it is. And I wanted to just bring awareness to that, and then give them some ways to try to cope when they have the butterflies, because that's what it feels like for little kids mostly. They feel, anxious. So I wanted to just bring awareness to that. So that will be the fourth book in the series. And I'm most excited about that one because anxiety has played a very large role in my life. And I just want to bring awareness to it, especially for the little ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why we hear a lot about more and more kids needing to deal with anxiety. Any idea where it might be coming from? Do you think there's actually more kids that are needing to deal with this, or we're just recognizing it better?
I think recognizing it. I think they know something is happening, but I don't think they really understand what it is. Mm-hmm. And I don't want kids to feel like they're different or, are scared to say something to someone because, it's a real thing. And I'm not really sure that they understand that. So I want them to see that if you feel this way, it could be anxiety. And here's some ways that you can cope with it. Cause kids get anxiety when they have to take a test, or they're nervous, or they're in a different setting. And just signs to recognize, like, okay, this may be, not just nervousness. I might just be, it might be an anxiety attack. They don't know what an anxiety attack is. So in the book, I refer to it as, the butterflies. Uh-huh. Just so they know that if you have this feeling, this is what it could be. But I want them to be able to open up and talk to someone about it. And, anxiety can just be exacerbated when you just keep it to yourself, and it just becomes more and more and more. And it can be crippling. And I know as an adult it can be. So I can't even imagine how a child would feel if they don't know what's really going on and they're scared to say something to someone.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me, did you always aspire to be a children's author?
Yes. I wanted to write in any capacity. I wanted to be an author. I didn't have to be a children's book, but I just love to write. I can say when I was growing up, I loved to read the book series, The Babysitter's Club by Anne Martin. And that was like my favorite thing to do. And I always told myself that I wanted to have a book series, just like she did. So that's how I started, with the children's books and Peyton, because that was something I always wanted to do. I loved her book series, and I thought it was just cool to have a book series. And that's how I became a children's author.
Yeah, yeah. Have you taken the time to realize that through your books, you're going to be inspiring hundreds and thousands of girls to love themselves?
And it's wonderful. Like, sometimes I feel like I can't believe this is my life. I mean, I'm so excited to inspire, and just for little girls who look like me to see themselves represented on a cover. I can't tell you the amount of joy that I have when a little girl says, "Oh my God, that looks like me," or "Mommy, that looks like me." That is like the best payment ever, for anything. So it's amazing that I get to do this, and I love to do it. And I just want to continuously keep inspiring the little girls and little boys with Peyton, just the different adventures, and just keep it going.
Yeah. And I do have to ask, because I'm a very old man. What makes an adventure a hip hop adventure?
Well, I'm a hip hop head. I love hip hop. So I wanted to, combine my love for hip hop and writing. And in the book, she loves hip hop, and she wants to share that with the world. She wants to share that with her school in the talent show. So we're just going on the adventure with her writing her rhymes in the book, and from her bedroom to the talent stage, just that adventure from her getting out of her head, when she gets nervous, and we're just going on the adventure. I actually wrote some actual hip hop rhymes for the book. So, we're just going on the hip hop adventure with her from the bedroom to the stage.
Awesome. Can you share one of those rhymes?
Oh God. Oof.
Okay. No, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh my goodness. It's so funny because I would write them, and then I would go to my husband and be like, "How does this sound?" And he would just look at me like, but I'm like, you got to remember, it's coming from a little girl. I mean, but I did my best, and I think I did okay with them. So
I'm sure.
So, yeah.
I'm sure it's awesome. Hey, where can we go to find out more about Dream Big Peyton's hip hop adventures and find out more about you?
You can go to my website. It's paulabanks.com. And you can also purchase my books from there. My books are also on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. So you can find them there. And I'm also on Instagram, at author Paula Banks. You can also purchase them on Instagram if you're on there and just want to quickly purchase them. But I'm always on Instagram sharing about Peyton, showing the next adventures, any events that I'm doing, and everything that's Peyton's journeys. You can find on any of those platforms.
Wonderful. We've had a great time speaking to the author of Dream Big Peyton's hip hop adventure. Our guest has been Paula Banks. Paula, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. Thank you so much.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids, who will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, want to start by thanking our guests, Paula Banks, John Krause, Juliet Paschkiss, and Janet Lord. I want to thank my amazing team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty, Rory Grady, Riley Oluhu, Judy Hu, Stella Sheree, Hannibal Sanj, Alyssa Montiero, Julia Lippman, Devin Hill. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and thank you for taking the time to make the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.